Okay, this is going to be review for Congress. Quickly, House has 435 total. That's a cap. The Senate has 100 total because it's 2 per state, 50 states. House is based on population. It is census every 10 years. After the census, they reapportion the 435. They divide them up differently based on the population, the census results. And then afterwards, the states. So Michigan has to redraw its lines or redistrict for our where the population has moved and how many representatives we have after the census. Again, Senate 2 per state. 2-year term, 6-year term. The House, the Speaker of the House is the most important position, Nancy Pelosi. That is in the Constitution, that position. In the Constitution, the Senate is led by the Vice President of the United States. He votes when there's a tie. And that is actually not really the power anymore in the Senate. While that's in the Constitution, the real power is in the majority leader, the leader of the majority political party. Power of impeach for the House, trials of impeachment for the Senate. 3 presidents have been impeached. All 3 had trials. None of them were kicked out of their job. Revenue tax bills have to start in the House per the Constitution. And per the Constitution, the Senate approves presidential appointments to the cabinet, to many other executive positions, as well as the Senate approves treaties. One of the more famous ones being when the Senate did not approve the Treaty of Versailles after World War I because the senators were opposed, majority of senators were opposed to creating the League of Nations. Woodrow Wilson was the president. He worked on that treaty with other countries, and he was not successful in getting it approved. Who do they work for? First and foremost, they work for their constituents. Their constituents are us. They work as either trustees and delegates. Trustees mean we trust them. They work and do their voting and do their jobs based on their own personal views and ideology. This is the number one way they make their decisions based on what they stand for. And we trust them. We entrusted them with the job. As delegates, if they act as delegates, that means they're directly doing exactly what we as constituents want. Fortunately, usually, I don't know if it's fortunate actually, trustees and delegate overlap because, for example, Bill Huizenga is voted in by people who have the same personal views and ideology. So when he operates as a trustee, he's still mirroring his voters, the people who voted for him, as a delegate, which also gets to political party. So first and foremost, it's constituents. But then they operate as a group in their political party. Again, their political party usually, not always, will mirror mostly their personal views and ideology. That's why they're in that political party, which then again mirrors the people who voted for them. Once in a while, there might be a separation on an issue. For example, in Michigan, it might be Great Lakes. If you have Bill Huizenga, who's a Republican, and Fred Upton as a Republican, they're in the Great Lakes region. So if the Republican Party is wanting one outcome, they might oppose that because of their geographical location. Same with auto industry. Then the nation, they work for the nation. They have to think of everybody. Keep in mind always, and I'll probably say this in class or said in class, that be careful when they say they work for the American people. We as an American people do not all agree. So we're more divided, but they'll say it like they work for the American people or what's in the best interest of the nation, but you might not agree with that view. And then finally, interest groups and the lobbyists who work for the interest groups. Lobbyists work for interest groups, and they will lobby the congressperson for bills or for funding for their interest. And again, you often, if not usually, the interest group mirrors the personal views and ideology. So the lobbyists working with the representative will often have the same views here, which will have, again, the same views of the majority voters who voted for him, which is part of the constituents. Remember, if you didn't vote for him or her, you are still a constituent, but you're not the voter. So a lot of this interest group, political party, trustee, delegate will mirror itself. They'll be similar. And what they think is best for the nation will fall in line. What can be interesting is when something isn't falling in line. Like I already said, if they live in the Great Lakes and the political party disagrees, or if it's an interest group lobbying for something that nobody cares about in the home district or the home state, they might vote, even if they might vote for it for other benefits, even if we as constituents might disagree, but we're not very active participants. This happens usually with business decisions that help or benefit businesses. We're not really active in energy policy, many parts, not all parts of healthcare policy. So it might be more the interest groups in the political party swaying the representative or senator. But usually, if all of this is lining up, political party, interest group, even ideology, if the constituents are upset and there's enough attention, representatives and senators will listen to their constituents because their job comes from their voters. Okay, so what do? Of course, the job of Congress is to legislate or make law. Keep in mind, if no laws were actually made, we still have laws. So it's not necessary, either in Lansing or in Washington, D.C., to constantly make law or make new law. Maybe change some laws, update, but we already have them. Most laws, I don't know the percentage, do not expire. There are laws that do, but most laws do not. So instead of just making law, they do something else, which I'll get to in a second. What do they make law about? So what are the federal laws pertain to? The delegated powers. Article 1, Section 8, coining money, commerce, post office, etc. And then, as we would talk about in class, they've expanded this Article 1, Section 8. Within Article 1, Section 8 is the necessary and proper clause, which has led to more laws. That's why the nickname is Elastic Clause, because it stretches Article 1, Section 8 to encompass more than just the text of Article 1, Section 8. For example, again, there is no Air Force mentioned in Article 1, Section 8, but there is an Army and a Navy. So Air Force is implied powers. It's inferred because it's part of the military. And that is necessary and proper to have a Air Force and to buy and use planes in military because of other Article 1, Section 8 delegated powers. Then, getting back to, I said, when there's already laws in the books, what do they do with those laws? They do these two: oversight of bureaucracy and federal. This is messed up because I used whiteout and then I was too impatient. Federal government budget. So they figure out the spending. And keep in mind, not only have they expanded their powers through necessary and proper clause, they've also expanded their powers through grants to states. So the budget will include grant money to states to get states to make laws that the federal government wants them to enact. In your life, in my life, this happens often. Our free and reduced lunch dictates our cafeteria and rules about our cafeteria. Title I, Title II money is used by the district and dictates spending, what we spend our money on, how we spend that money, and who it helps. And then the other one is oversight of bureaucracy. So bureaucracy, which is the next chapter, is the group of men and women who carry out the laws. Day in, day out, someone goes to work and makes sure the laws that were written are actually carried out. Agriculture laws, education laws, transportation spending, transportation research on where the spending is needed, etc. Well, the bureaucracy spends the money from the budget, and the Congress will call these men and women in to see how it's operating, to see if it needs to be changed, to see if needs are being met, day in, day out, and then potentially a law could be changed, money could be adjusted, but the law, this isn't making law. It's just part of the process. And then finally, what they also do is casework. Now, they work for their constituents as a whole when they make law. They work for their constituents as a whole when they take to task bureaucracy or the budget and the spending. This is not the same. This is when they work for one individual, one-on-one, and it would be the services button in your web quest when you're in Bill Huizenga's webpage and it said services, where they can help you one-on-one. The more easy ones to talk about would be getting you a visit pass to get to do a tour of the White House or to get a flag. But the other ones might be to help you work through the process of citizenship, or if you're a permanent resident, or also if you're having issues like you're a farmer and you need help with dealing with the Department of Agriculture. It's going to be a staff. It probably won't be Bill Huizenga himself, but they will help an individual. That is casework. And then finally at the bottom here, how a bill becomes a law, there is notes for that as well on a different link in Google Classroom.